What's up, guys? It is Chris back with another watch video, and today we're talking about automatic dress watches, and I'm going to give you some of my top automatic dress watches. And all I've done in this video is sort of put together a list of really interesting, somewhat special dress watches, and the only rule is that they have to be automatic and under $1,000. So I'm going to get right into it, starting with the brand that I featured on the channel very early on in my channel. That is Carpenter Watches. I actually featured them, one of the first watches that are actually lent to the channel, and they are located here in New York, in Brooklyn. This is the G3 Brooklyn Gent, a $795 dress watch. This is a beautiful dress watch that comes in at 38 millimeters wide. It has a solid bronze case, a box acrylic crystal. A lot of people go back and forth on this. And of course, a display case back where you can actually see the ETA 2824, 50 meters of water resistance. That display case back is actually in sapphire. So they could have done the sapphire crystal for the front. They chose not to. They wanted to put a beautiful boxed acrylic crystal. It gives it a little bit more of a warmer feel. These get somewhat of a sunburst effect dial. Really beautiful watches, honestly. And they sometimes go on sale. I think they're on sale for $795 now. They're regularly around $895. Great looking watches, fit really nice, and that bronze case really adds something a little bit special. It's a dress watch in bronze, kind of cool. It will patina with age. You get a bronze buckle on it as well. Crocodile strap, so you're getting a brown or a black crocodile strap depending on which one you're getting. These are also available in stainless steel, but I would definitely 100% go for that bronze with that brown crocodile strap. This looks phenomenal. And honestly, in my opinion, it looks a lot more expensive than the asking price of $795. The next selection on my list is Certina. You're going to see somewhat of a theme here. A lot of the watches on this list look a lot more expensive than they actually cost. So this is a $300 watch, under $300 in most situations. This is the DS-4. This is a beautiful textured dial with a small seconds. That texturing looks like a wave pattern on the entire dial, except for that small sub-seconds right above the 6 o'clock position. 40 millimeters sapphire crystal. This gets an ETA movement, the 2825. Obviously, these are in the ETA group, so you're getting a 2825. A pretty interesting movement because it is a small seconds version of the 2824. Kind of rare, actually. Of course, you get to see it from the display case back, but the real star here is the dial. The dial is textured. It has that wave pattern. Just a gorgeous looking watch and a really good price. $300 gets you this on a bracelet or a strap, and those are very easily found on places like Joma Shop or eBay. You can get these pretty much anywhere for around $300, and that is a really good bargain, really a steal at that price. Of course, no list would be complete, no list of mine would be complete without having some Tissots on it. So the Tissot Gentleman and the Tissot Viso Date. The Viso Date I actually featured on a previous list where I mentioned some automatic movements that I thought were automatic watches that were really good under the $1,000 price point. Of course, these are both under $1,000, the Gentleman and the Viso Date. That Viso Date is 40 millimeters. You get a Powermatic 80, just a beautiful dial with that old school looking Tissot logo on it. Really beautiful stainless steel case. You have a bunch of different colors these actually come in as well, dial-wise and case-wise. Just a classic looking watch with a really great movement in it. 80 hours of power reserve. That Powermatic 80 really cannot be beat at these price levels. Well under $1,000. I think these are around $600. You can get them for around $400 to $500 on the secondary market. And then, of course, there is the Gentleman. This is a true Rolex replacement, an affordable sort of Rolex replacement, I would say, in my opinion. They have full bracelets on these, Powermatic 80s that you can see from the back. Beautiful dial options, but they also have two-tone options, which get solid gold on them as well. So they're not plated gold. They're a little bit more expensive, but they're not outrageously priced. Some really nice options from Tissot through that Gentleman line. I definitely would like to get a gentleman on my channel for review. I think these are really good looking watches. They're 40 millimeters. They're excellent dress watches, but they're excellent everyday watches. One of the best everyday watches around. If you've ever had one in your hand, you would know that they're actually very well made. The bracelet on them are actually very nice as well. Not typical of all Tissots, I have to say. The C-Star 1000, not such a great bracelet. This gets a really nice bracelet on it. They start at around $700, $800. You can get them on a strap, but you can get them in two-tone, as I mentioned. They have a whole bunch of different dial colors: silver dial, white dial, blue dial, green dial, a lot of different colors. Great looking watches. And like I said, a real Rolex replacement. If you're looking for something and it looks like a Rolex, but you don't want to spend Rolex money, this is definitely an affordable alternative to Rolex, in my opinion. Next on my list, of course, I have Timex and a Marlin, and this is the new Marlin that just recently came out with that beautiful California dial. It has applied indices, a sunburst effect on that dial. They have two different case colors right now. There is a stainless steel and a rose gold, applied indices, and a 40 millimeter case. You get an acrylic crystal and, of course, a Miyota automatic movement in these. The Miyota automatic movement that they're putting in these are the 8S movements. However, these come in at around $249. You definitely can get these used or on the secondary market for around $200. So it's very close in price to that Certina. I would definitely go with the Certina if I had a choice. However, these are very, very good looking watches and very fun watches, and especially at that $249 price point. And then when you can get them cheaper, I think it's a really good option as well. Depending on what you're looking for, a very classic looking watch as well. All around, I love Timex. I try and include Timex on all of my lists because I think that they make some really awesome watches. They have a really great history and they're very affordable. So obviously a no-brainer. Next, we're gonna go with some Seikos. I have 3 Seikos to list out here. They are all in the Presage lineup of watches. The Presage lineup is really a huge lineup of watches. They go from $400 all the way up to $4,000, $5,000. You have a bunch of different movements and a bunch of different sizes. You can get a 38 millimeter all the way up to a 42 millimeter. They have 4R movements, 6R, 6L, chronograph movements, spring drive movements. So they run the gamut in the price range because of all the different movements. One thing that stands out among all of the price ranges, the dials. The dials on the Presage lineup of watches are really the focus. They do an excellent job on these dials. And part of the reason why the Presage lineup is so popular is because of the dials. If these dials were on Swiss-made watches, they would be a lot more expensive. But because they are on Seikos, they are actually pretty affordable. And some really good examples of that would be the SPB 045. You get a power reserve, that's the 6R27. White enamel dial. This gets an enamel dial on it, and these are around $1,000. Absolutely gorgeous watches, and you get a 6R movement with these, which is a mid-range Seiko movement. However, beautiful dial on this, sapphire crystal, just a gorgeous watch. Really something special, and obviously for under $1,000 or around $1,000, very hard to beat. Next is one of my favorite Seikos, and one that I really want to have in my collection one day. That is the SPB 167. That's the blue dial, sharp-edged Seiko Presage. This is a new lineup from the brand. These are around $1,000 as well. Beautiful blue dial, textured like a baby Grand Seiko. The case on this is beautiful. The bracelet is beautiful. They really executed these perfect in my opinion. Again, around $1,000. So a lot of watch for the money. And again, if you had this dial on a Swiss-made watch, it would be over $1,000 easily. These are really good looking watches. 6R35. So again, a mid-range Seiko movement. Next on the list, SSA 343. This is sort of a polar white textured dial. You get a hardlex on these. It has a 4R57, so you're getting hardlex, the lower grade Seiko movement. However, you get some really cool texturing. These are in a really nice size as well. They're around 41 millimeters. Just a really good looking watch. and you're getting a lot of watch for that money. You're getting a power reserve on the dial, and these come in at around $400, somewhere in that price range. Just a cool watch, a really interesting dial as well at that price. Again, something that looks a little bit more high-end than it actually is cost-wise, and that's the whole point of the Presage line, in my opinion. Next on this list, we have a really cool watch. I'm going to go with a really interesting Bulova. This is the Bulova limited edition Commodore. This is the Joseph Bulova collection. This pays homage to the brand's visionary founder, Joseph Bulova, and these can be had for under $1,000. They are absolutely gorgeous watches. They have sort of wired lugs. They look like almost like a Hermes watch. They come in at around 38.5 millimeters. They get an SW200. The dial on here is sort of a salmon gray color, applied indices, just a really special, very good looking watch for a really good price. The price comes in at around $1,295, but even on Bulova's website, if you want to buy them directly from Bulova, you can get 20% off on these right now. Actually, I believe they have them for 20% off on their website, and that means that these are around $1,000 for something that is pretty incredible and actually a very special watch. These look really good. I think a lot of people will be surprised when they see these. Bulova makes some really cool watches, not always highlighted by a lot of channels or websites. This Commodore is something special, and I think it's really cool. Another really cool Bulova, and one of my favorite dress watches from the brand, something that is actually pretty affordable. They come in at around $300. That's the Macy's American Clipper. Yes, the American Clipper is actually a lineup of watches from Bulova that you can get directly from their website. However, they made a special limited edition with Macy's. Yes, the retailer Macy's. I know, kind of weird. These were vintage inspired. They say self-winding on the dial. They have really cool boxed crystals on them. You get a Miyota movement. They are a Miyota 8S movement, so they don't hack. However, they do hand wind. They're 39 millimeters. You can get them in stainless steel or gold tone case. Originally, MSRP was around $425, but you can get these for under $300 easily on eBay all day long. They are a limited edition and they look amazing. 39 millimeters, so they're really nicely sized. Automatics, just really cool watches from a pretty awesome brand, obviously Bulova, but just an awesome all-around package and look for a very, very good price, in my opinion. Next, of course, I have some Orients on this list. I would list the Bambino. However, I think I like the Maestro a little bit more. I featured their hand winding version on my hand wind list, where I gave you some top hand wound movement watches, in my opinion, obviously. And that was the 40 millimeter hand wind. However, this one is the automatic, the F6722, that in-house movement. The Maestro is a really good looking watch. And these can come on a bracelet or on a strap, and you can get them for around $150. Same thing for that hand wound movement. These are really affordable dress watches, all in-house, good looking watches. They hack, they hand wind. You get a lot for your money with the Maestro. And they're really underrated. I don't think a lot of people have these on their radar. A lot of people talk about the Bambino. Bambino, definitely an awesome watch, but these are really awesome as well. And sort of in line with those Timex Marlins, you could definitely get these for really good price, and you're getting a pretty good looking watch, and they're all in-house. So very interesting offering. Next is another very rare watch, and something that a lot of channels don't ever talk about. It's the Citizen Grand Classic. These do retail for around $1,000. Yes, they are on the very expensive side. However, if you go on eBay, you can get these for under $500 very easily on a bracelet. These are 42 millimeter sort of dress sport watches. They're like 100 meters water resistance. These are, the specific one that I'm talking about is the NB004058A. These are stainless steel, silver dials. They have like a step dial with applied indices, blued hands, and a display case back. You are getting a Miyota movement in these. These are getting an exclusive Miyota movement, the 9011. They get a custom made rotor for them. Honestly, these look a lot more expensive than they actually are. Even at that $1,000 price range, the movement looks phenomenal with that custom rotor. The custom rotor goes a long way on these watches, and they look really good. $500 is still a lot of money, but they look more expensive than they actually are. Really good movement, and overall a lot for your money, in my opinion. But again, $500 is kind of expensive, but I think these look really good. Next is a brand that I've talked about many times on my channel, and I have two watches from this brand. It is Frederic Constant. They make some amazing watches at amazing prices. They make a bunch of automatic in-house movements that you can get with a bunch of different complications at really good price points. And a lot of those you can get around $1,000. So definitely keep an eye out on these. However, the ones that I have chosen have Sellita movements. They're automatic, specifically one that is a really good looking blue dial with some texturing, sort of like a hobnail in the center of the dial. It's the Frederic Constant Men's Classic. It's just a 40 millimeter or 42 millimeter watch with like a hobnail dial, as I mentioned. It's a blue hobnail dial. It really looks a lot like a Vacheron 56. If you were familiar with the Vacheron 56, and maybe I could pop up a picture of it here. Just a beautiful dial, beautiful watch from Vacheron, very expensive. I believe they start around $15,000. Just a gorgeous watch, of course, but they make them in stainless steel and they start around $15,000. Frederic Constant sort of do a very similar look, and these start at around $599. You can get them on eBay all day long for around $500. Like I said, Frederic Constant don't really have a really good resale value. I've said this in other videos, so that makes it a really good bargain on the secondary market. This is the FC 303 RMN 5B6. Another sort of honorable mention is the Rally Healy from Frederic Constant. This is a vintage inspired watch, two-tone dials on this. The FC 303 HVBR 5B4. These retail for around $1,000 as well, but you can get them for around $700. You get Sellita movements in these as well, Sellita automatic movements, so the SW200. Two-tone dials, that's specifically why I chose these, because they are really good looking. You get a two-tone sort of outer ring of the chapter ring. You get a minute track that's in a different color from the center of the dial. They just say Healy on the dial, so they have the little car on the back. Great looking watches with really some nice racing inspiration. Perfect for dress and perfect for sport, really. Definitely check them out. They make some really cool watches. Of course, Frederic Constant makes some very affordable watches, and these are obviously very affordable. Anyway, tell me what you think of my choices. Again, I tried to keep this to automatics that are priced under $1,000. There are plenty of other automatics that are priced under $1,000 dress watch-wise out there that I could have chosen, but I just chose some of my favorites, some that I have looked at in the past that I've definitely considered buying or I've bought. So definitely tell me what you think in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Give me some suggestions for future videos, what you think I should have chose or I could choose for a future video. These are some of my favorites, as I mentioned, but there are plenty of watches out there. That's the great thing about watch collecting. Just endless amounts of watches out there, so we can keep on going with this. But tell me what you think in the comments below. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. Does not cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll